Ottawa police did their best under inhuman circumstances when protesters descended on the city last winter, the force's former chief has said. Peter Slowly testified on Friday at an inquiry looking into Canada's use of the Emergencies Act to end the Freedom Convoy protests that police were under immense pressure at the time. The protests began the 29th of January and gridlocked Ottawa for 3 weeks. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau invoked the Emergencies Act on the 14th of February. Mr. Slowly resigned as Chief of Ottawa Police on the 15th of February amid criticism of his force's response to the protests. Testimony presented before the Public Order Emergency Commission so far has suggested the force was dealing with power struggles, communication gaps and infighting as it scrambled to control the anti-vaccine mandate and anti-government protests. In an emotional defense of police actions on Friday, Mr. Slowly said his force tried to deal with the protests while facing a lack of resources and staffing issues. It was too cold and it was too much. But they did their very best. And I am grateful to them, he said. The Public Order Emergency Commission began 6 weeks of hearings on the 13th of October, and in other recent developments, the winter protests paralyzed much of Ottawa's city centre with hundreds of heavy trucks, while smaller, shorter-lived protests elsewhere blocked 2 key US-Canada border crossings. The protests in Ottawa, deemed an illegal blockade by police and the federal government, were eventually cleared by police on the weekend of the 18th of February. The public inquiry, which is required under law when the Emergencies Act is invoked, will hear from more witnesses over the coming weeks, including Mr. Trudeau. His government has said that the use of the Emergencies Act for the first time since it became law in 1988 was a necessary last resort to deal with unprecedented protests. A final report on the inquiry's findings will be released early next year.